Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk with Anthea Isaac. Well, it's been ages. I know you might have missed me, but now I'm back and trying to bring out some of my favorite people to talk about life and discuss a lot more. So, hope you guys stay with me and enjoy these episodes. So, for today's episode, I have a very good friend of mine. We knew each other for months,
hmm
and wow, I'm still feeling that this is a surreal moment that I still call her a friend because she's such an amazing person in and out, and she has been doing a lot of things. So, welcome, Racquel, for the show. Welcome.
Thank you. You always give the best introductions. It makes me feel so great about myself. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining. This really means a lot. And we have been working together in a lot other projects. And this is personally mine. And you just joined in. And I am actually more grateful. And the intro is not done yet. So the viewers might not know who Raquel is. But if you are a K-pop fan or my friend, you would have already known Raquel because I keep talking about her all day. But if you are just viewers who are excited to know who she is an on air media personality. After completing journalism, she decided to step into media and bring us some of the best news coverage from sports to entertainment. She has been here in the industry for a very long time, covering events, covering releases,
Everything.
interviewing artists, yeah, everything. And the fun fact, she has also worked as a dance teacher. So she has a lot of things under her belt. And I take a great privilege in welcoming her. Yeah, I almost forgot. She also has a podcast with her co-host called Millennial Girls, where she does some amazing job. When I first got to know about the podcast, it was kind of similar to Let's Talk with Anthea Isaac because we kind of deal with the same topics. And it was really cool to see two amazing women talk about a lot of stuff that is still unpopular among human beings and media personalities. So if you're looking for such an amazing podcast, do check it out. And right now, Raquel is a YouTube content creator doing some amazing YouTube videos, bringing in reactions, un- unboxing albums, and interviews with some of the best K pop groups and artists. So it is such a great pleasure to invite Raquel again. Yeah.
Yay. The intro, amazing. Full intro. I'm really bad at introduction, so I need to take some direction from you.
Wow. Like when people like you actually compliment for my introduction, that really makes me the happiest, seriously. So
Oh no,
you
I am
deserve it.
always thank you. No, introductions, I'm always just like, let's get to it. Like I don't need to introduce you. We'll just get to all the meat and the potatoes when we're doing the actual interview.
Hmm. Yes. So, of course, now the viewers know that you are a journalist, on air media host. So, I just wanted to know how it all started, when the idea of being a media personality hit your head, and how did the whole process go on?
I was actually really young.
Hmm.
I knew I wanted to be on air probably from when I was around 7 or 8 years old. I was watching TRL every single day. TRL was a show that was on MTV. Carson Daly
Hmm.
was one of the main hosts. There was obviously other hosts. It was a music show. So I always found it really intriguing that the hosts would be able to interview the artists and the musicians, and they were really like the main connection between the fan and the artist. I would get home from school every single day, watch it, and then I would get ready and go to dance. So that was literally my life for however many years TRL was on, and TRL was on for a very long time. Um, so yeah, I knew I wanted to be in that wheelhouse of hosting and that, but I honestly thought it was going to be later on in my life because I, in my head, was like, I'm just going to move to LA and be a backup dancer when I turn 18. I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to go live my best dancer life, young and dreams, all that. And my parents were like, okay, no, you got to go to college. You need a backup plan because a dancer's lifespan is zero point 0.5 seconds. And
Mhm.
it was honestly like the fighting. I would fight with my parents and be like, I don't want to go to college. I don't want to go to college. I wasn't not the best student. I just, school was not easy for me. And dance was easy for me. Dance, like, you just, if
Mhm.
you're gifted in something, you're gifted in something. So finally we made the decision. I'm going to go to college. I made a deal with my parents. Basically, if I go and I get my 2-year degree, the AA, I can go to LA. If I can transfer schools to LA, we could figure it out, all that stuff. But of course, after your first 2 years of college, you start getting into your major. And I ended up
Mhm.
landing a really cool internship at a radio station here at iHeart in Miami. And I was obsessed. I loved everything I was doing in school. And I ended up actually breaking my foot. And that really kind of changed and shifted the direction of everything with me for dance because my body literally wasn't the same after I broke
Mhm.
my foot and I got arthritis. And so I just kept really focusing on teaching at that point and not me performing necessarily while I was in school and I was still doing all the journalism stuff. And I just got a lot of experience. I started my own YouTube channel in college, actually, a different one than what is blowing up kind of now. But I was so frustrated. TRL was over at this point. So I was really frustrated with all these people getting to interview these artists because this is when YouTube was really blowing up. It was when it
Mhm.
first started. And this was probably in 2014, 2013 time. So everyone had a YouTube channel. Everyone was being a YouTuber. And people were legit getting these artist interviews who were just on a YouTube channel, kind of what I'm doing now. And I was really mad. One of my best friends said, Racquel, why don't you make a YouTube channel and try to do it yourself? What's the harm? You can at least say you tried. So we made this great pitch email because she was going to school for entertainment industry as well. And I had already finished up interning at Y100 at iHeart. So I kind of fluffed my pitch a little bit and made it seem like I had more experience than I did. And I landed my first interview with one of the winners of American Idol. And after
Mhm.
that, that's kind of how it started. And I really did that YouTube channel for a couple of years, actually. And then when I graduated college from journalism school, I started working for this website. I was their country music correspondent. So I
Mhm.
was half in Nashville, half here. So I was flying back and forth to Nashville. I was in Nashville, honestly, 3 times a month. And in between that, I would be teaching dance. So it was a crazy life, but I was 22? Like it was fine. Uh, but yeah, it was, I mean, hustling for sure, definitely. But I mean, I definitely knew early on that I wanted to be on camera, but it is definitely when I think about it and I think back to being young and everything and like I'm just going to go be a backup dancer, like it definitely all happened earlier than I thought it would happen, but I definitely can't say I'm not happy. I love what I'm doing, so
Well, that is a lovely story, and I could see the progress and all that, and we are definitely going to talk about everything. So, let us start with a bright note. What would you say it is the best part of being a journalist or an on-air media host?
I just love getting to ask the fans questions, I think, and even
Mhm.
ask my own questions to the artist or the producer or whatever, just because I want to know those things too. And
Mhm.
I know how important it is to get this information for the fans, especially doing anything in K-pop. Those fans are so loyal and so passionate. So any little bit of information that we can get is always really important. And I think there is definitely, if you look at the big spectrum and the big picture of artists and musicians and who's big and who's not, it really just does depend on the fandom. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand about K-pop is the fans run the industry, and it's not necessarily the case here in America with Western artists because obviously people have been touring, and I don't know, I feel like we've just kind of fallen off with what's going on and with lack of content, but obviously in K-pop there's no lack of content. So I think that's definitely my favorite part is getting to actually talk to the artists. And I feel like a lot of people in our field just like talking to the artists to say that they can talk to the artist and that they did talk to the artist. And yeah, that's really cool to say like, oh my God, I interviewed AB6 or I interviewed Martin Garrix, but I'm asking the questions that I wanted to ask, or the important questions. And that's more important to me than just saying, oh my God, I took a picture with them and I got to do this. It's cool that you got to do it. It's definitely a perk, but it's not the main reason I'm doing it. And I feel like a lot of people, if people people message me all the time, like, I think I want to go into journalism, or I want to be on air. It's so cool that you get to talk to everyone. I'm like, okay, wait, but if that's the only reason you want to go into this, there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. And you need to know it's not just I'm interviewing X artist and that's so cool and that's all I'm doing.
Well, I totally agree on that, because when I started writing or something, I went to one of the journalists and I told literally the same thing. Like, I want to do interviews. I want to speak to my favorite idols. And subconsciously, I did have this idea where, like, the questions I needed to ask, I really wanted to ask them. And in the end, I always make sure to let them know that how much of an impact they have did in my life and the fans. So this was subconsciously there, but the conscious one was like, I want to meet my favorite people. So later, when you started doing it, now I just wanted to tell their story, even if, like, we have proof or not. It's just, in the end of the day, how effective we could tell their stories to the world. So, wow, that is a cool one. So, any memorable moments that you would love to share with us? Any iconic interviews or something?
My first really big interview was Imagine Dragons in Las Vegas on a red carpet, and it was
Mm-hmm.
at a charity event. And I was the only small media outlet there. It was like ABC, NBC, the local affiliate, and then it was me. So I was freaking out because I thought it was going to be this huge event. There's going to be so much press. And it was at the time when I was like 22, 23. And they were super cool. They were so nice. I got to interview a lot of really big people that day. And I think that really hit the nail on the head. Like, Racquel, you're supposed to be doing this. You're good at what you do. Cause you always question everything. And I think that's something too that you have to get over at a certain point, and like, what you're doing and you're supposed to be doing this. So that was a really memorable one. Obviously, the interview I did with Martin Garrix with Natasha, January 2020, it went viral and ended up in Billboard magazine. So for that, I think will be the interview I remember for the rest of my life. Just seeing my face in Billboard magazine and being attributed was a dream come true. And I felt like, that is you doing something right. You were supposed to be doing this. So that one, and honestly, even AB6, that was my first really big K-pop interview that I did by myself and for my YouTube channel. And I was really proud of myself for getting that interview and doing that interview, because I feel like when I interview the K-pop artists, I get more nervous than normal. I was really nervous for AB6 because I think what people don't understand is they don't speak English. So there's a translator, they're translating it to English, or translating it to Korean, they're translating it back to you. It takes so much longer to do these K-pop interviews because there's like a million translations that have to be done, and then you have to edit it and put the subtitles in, and it's so I get really stressed out still because I'm like, I want it to be perfect. And I don't want to disappoint the fans because I'm such a big K-pop fan. So I know if I put something up that I wouldn't like, then the fans are definitely not going to like it. So yeah, I mean, I definitely put more pressure on myself, I feel like, for those interviews, but they're super exciting. And I feel like I've found my love for interviewing people again, if that makes sense, because I feel like it was just becoming like okay, it's part of the job, and I was taking it for granted. And then losing my job because of the pandemic and starting my own YouTube channel again and getting to do these K-pop interviews has made me find my love for like interviewing and just being excited about doing this again. Because I've been out of college 6 years. I've been doing this for 7 basically. So you kind of get into a rhythm of things, but now I'm like excited about doing stuff again, which is really nice.
Well, I do understand the love for interviewing because it gets addictive. I want to keep interviewing people. It doesn't matter if it's K-pop idol or it's just for let's talk with Anthea Isaac. I just wanted to talk to people.
Yeah,
different content. It's really cool. So
well, I think it's really great that you're doing this, because it shows too that you have something on your own. And I feel like that is really important as well. That's why we started the podcast. We started the podcast because we both got let go from our on-air jobs at the radio station, and we had wanted to do a podcast, and then we transitioned and said, how can we take what we do at the radio station and put it into something that's our own? That's how
Mhm.
Millennial Girls started. So I feel like that's super important. And when I have college kids reach out to me that are saying, I want to go to school for journalism, but I don't have an experience. What should I do? And the first thing I say is, intern, start a YouTube channel, start a podcast, do this. If you want to do editing, offer to do video editing, learn how to do. I'm like, you've got to get your own experience. You can't wait for someone to give it to you, because otherwise it's not going to happen.
Exactly. Wow, that's amazing. So that reminds me of one of your interviews or a little talk, kind of a video that I got to find in YouTube, where you were expressing about how difficult was it to end up here, and like we spoke about all the lovely dovey floral things. So on the other side, how hard it was to get here, and you also spoke about juggling different things. You had a different idea, and this is entirely a different shift. So how was it? I know it was really hard, but I just want you to explain it to us.
Yeah, I'm very open and honest with the journey I've had so far in my career, because I didn't really have anyone like that to look up to when I was going through it. I feel like no one did, because we weren't in this time of actually being open and honest. Now in 2020, 2021, everyone's very open about whether it's mental health or their job struggle or anything. And I mean, it's because of the pandemic. A lot of people lost their jobs, people lost their lives. Like, we've all got to be way more real than we are, especially because of, social media being not real life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that interview was really great. It's so funny. Every time I'm on a podcast as a guest, everyone brings that up because it comes up when they, I guess, Google my name or put me into YouTube. But that interview was really, I didn't realize how much of an impact it was going to have when I did it. And it's because it was actually students from the college that I went to. It was one of their projects. So she interviewed me. I had no idea it was going to be going on YouTube. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I'm so happy it did, because a lot of people have been impacted by that interview. But I mean, I'm just very open and honest, like I said, with my journey. And I worked for free for about 3 years when I was first out of college. And that's why I was teaching dance. I mean, honestly, I taught dance up until last year, because even working or I guess 2 years ago, 2019, when the pandemic hit, I stopped. But you don't make a lot of money at first. And I don't think people realize that. Like, everyone just sees everyone, whether it be sports reporting, if you're on TV. Yes, you make a lot of money if you have a big contract like that and you're working for a big affiliate. Or if you're on TV, and I mean, E-News isn't a thing anymore, but when I was growing up, I was like, I'm going to host E-News. I'm going to be the next Juliana Rance. Like, that's what I'm going to do. E-News doesn't exist anymore. You know what I mean? And everyone on Access Hollywood and anything like that, Entertainment Tonight, they've been there for a very long time. So until you get your foot in the door, or someone leaves, or you have a really great agent, or you happen to like run into someone, pure luck, like, it's going to be a struggle. Even my friends who are sports reporters or work for a team, and everything has their struggles. And I think that's the number one thing that you've got to know. Like I said, I worked for free for 4 years. And then even when I got my first kind of big break working for a sports team and getting to do all this stuff, I wasn't making much money at all. If I didn't teach dance, I would not have been able to live. And I lived at home. I'm still living at home, because then when I got my amazing job at the radio station, I was like, this is my big break. I'm on afternoons in Miami, a top 10 market. The pandemic hit and we all lost our jobs. So it's just like the universe keep throwing stuff, in your way. Be like, can you handle it? Can you handle it? And I feel like this also, the pandemic definitely is showing who can hang and who can't, and who's choosing to either take another career path because they need to, because they can't afford to, just be on unemployment, or they can't find another job. I mean, I've been applying to jobs literally since January 2021, and I have not gotten one yet. I'm just doing freelance stuff right now. So I feel like that's also something to make very clear. You're going to probably have to do a lot of different jobs, or, if you're lucky enough to get a really good job, or you might have to do a job that you don't like. I know a lot of people also too start out behind the camera or produce or have to edit, and then they kind of make their way to on air, which a lot of people do. I didn't have to do that. I was lucky, but we all have our own struggles and battles that we kind of have have to face. And I think that's also something that needs to be told too. I don't know. I just wasn't told this stuff in college, and I
Mhm.
feel like I thought it was going to be a lot more fluffy and like easy than it was going to be, and I'm not one to not work hard, so that's why I'm still doing this and that's why I'm still here. But I feel like if you're not, then you're not going to be able to do this, and you'll see, you'll learn real quick.
Well, yeah, my next question was definitely the pandemic because I kept saying this to you, and once again for the viewers, the shift that you had was really huge, and
Hmm.
the way you coped up with everything and starting your YouTube again and bringing it like I have a YouTube channel, and I know how to, like, you have to be your own advertiser, you have to be your own promoter and everything. So it's probably like you are thinking about a single video for 24 bar 7, but it's just really chaos even thinking about that. But you decided to do it and you're doing it really amazing. So everybody would have witnessed the shift, but most people wouldn't have known what happened behind screens. So how hard was that shift, and what was the mantra or something that you did to yourself to make sure you get through this?
Yeah, I mean, it was very hard, I'm not going to lie, just because I had never been like fired or let go before. When I was at the sports team I was working for 2.5 seasons, and it was after that, it was like it was time to part ways. It was a mutual thing. Like, I'm on to the next chapter of
Mm,
my life. Like, thank you for everything. Moving on. And then radio, like the job I got going into 2019 was everything I wanted and more. It was an EDM station. I was afternoons, like I just mentioned. I had 2 sponsors for my show. I was like getting to interview all these really cool DJs and go to these festivals, and ended up in Billboard magazine. Like, everything was just like, this is where I'm supposed to be. I've struggled this far and I've made it this far, and now I'm exactly where I need to be. The pandemic hits, every single on-air personality gets let go. And I feel like because it was obviously the pandemic, I wasn't as devastated at first because I knew that there was so much going on in the world that was so
mhm,
horrible. And it's like, how can you be? I didn't want to be a brat and be like, oh my God, I lost my job when everyone was losing their jobs. So many of my friends in radio and media and PR and everything were losing their jobs. My friends not in it were losing their jobs. People were dying. Like, it was just one of those things that I don't know. I wasn't super devastated at first. And then as time went on, it was just more of like a, when is this going to end type of thing. And it wasn't even me not having a job. It was more of the pandemic, obviously. You know, you're not taught how to live through a global pandemic that's killing people. And you just, no one knows how to go through it. Like, no one. So it was very much so of learning a lot about myself during the pandemic, which was interesting because I was definitely burnt out and I did not realize it. And it took a lot of like checking in with myself and everything like that. And I was doing these 90-day challenges and like doing all my goals and writing down all that stuff. And that truly was what was keeping me sane. And I was doing it, and a bunch of my friends were doing it too. So we were checking in with each other. And I mean, if I hadn't done that stuff, I don't even know where I would just definitely be depressed or something because it was not good. And I was already, upset and stressed and had anxiety and was starting to get that. So yeah, I mean, the YouTube channel was definitely something that helped with that and helps me focus, as well as the podcast. But yeah, I mean, I think that's when the shift obviously happened, and I had no choice. It was either like sit at home and cry and eat ice cream because I don't have a job and I lost a really good dream job, or stay relevant. That was honestly the first thing that came into my head. Like, how do I stay relevant? It's all about being relevant. Start a podcast. Okay, starting a podcast. Get a sponsor for a podcast. Okay, get the sponsor for the podcast. And then it was like, I was doing the videos with Brooke for her YouTube channel. She ended up moving, and I was like, all right, so now it's my turn to start mine. Like, let's do it. So it was kind of like, what's it called? When it's flight or fight mode. That's pretty much mode I went into for my work, my YouTube channel, my podcast. And now we're here. And listen, I'm not going to say I'm living my best life right now. Everything's great and dandy and great. Like, I'm still technically unemployed, which is so scary. But I keep seeing more and more jobs are being posted, more things are opening up. There's some opportunities. Like, I'm going to California for 2 weeks to have some meetings set up. So I know something will definitely happen. I also am like very big into listening to horoscopes and all that stuff. I told her, I always tell you, I was like, I did a meditation today. Like, I'm very big into that. You have to find what keeps you mentally healthy, because if you get so wrapped up in everything, it's not going to end well for you. And I didn't think I was going to be burnt out by the time I was 27. You know, you hear about people being burnt out by that. And I can honestly say that I had never checked in with myself up until that point. I was never like, Racquel, how do you feel? Are you okay? I had never asked myself that. And I was doing like a podcast thing that I was listening to, and it was like, check in with yourself, ask yourself if you're okay. And I literally said, I was like, I have never said that to myself ever in the 28 years of my life now. And I was like, that's not okay. And I mean, it makes sense though. I was working 7 days a week, literally 7 days a week. Sick. I don't even want to know how many hours a week I was working. And I was definitely not being compensated for all the work I was doing.
Wow.
And now I know coming into it or going into the next job, like, I need to get properly compensated and I can't be burnt out. And I started having some health issues from all the work and the stress and the anxiety, was in the hospital multiple times. I'm like, okay, no, we can't be living that life. Like, we got to focus ourselves, make sure we're still healthy, because I mean, stress can literally kill you. So let's not go down that road, please.
Well, I know, like, people with experience teaches a lot, and that's exactly why I wanted you to talk about this. And thank you so much for letting us know about it. And while you were talking, we do understand how the industry is really very competitive. And you just mentioned that your friends are also in the same industry, do different jobs and things. This is where the element of comparison comes, where you get to compare on how you do compared to your friend or your coworker or someone you know. And that comparison, according to me, leads to jealousy, which is one of the poisonous thing that can destroy us from within. So people mostly, like the most people I've heard, told me to stay out of social media for some time. That is the only solution people used to give to stop comparing or stop comparing your post and other posts. But like, some people are so into social media, like their daily business happens because of social media. And especially during this pandemic, we can't just shut it down and sit at home, because it is the only pathway where we can advertise or do our business. So right now, that might not be a solution. So I just wanted to hear from you, like, were there times when jealousy hit you so hard? And when it hit hard, what were the things that you told yourself to walk out from them?
Yeah. So first of all, comparison culture is a huge thing. We talk about it a lot on our podcast. We talk a lot about it, social media and mental health and all of that. So I don't really I'm not really that person. Like, I don't really compare myself on social media. I kind of just, even my friends are like, Racquel, you just post what you post and you don't even care. And I'm like, yep, I don't care. Like, that's it. But I will say, during the pandemic, I did go through and unfollow a lot of accounts, because I was like, is this making me happy? Is this making me sad? Like, what is this feeling I'm getting from this account? And if I did not feel good after seeing it, I unfollowed, including if it was something, like, unfollowed. Which I feel like is something you don't even realize. When you're just scrolling and you're liking, you don't realize what you're saying in your head, like, oh, I wish I was in Bora Bora right now, or you know what I mean? Like, why are you're not in Bora Bora? Like, chill out and unfollow. Like, you can get there eventually. So that's definitely something that I highly recommend to everyone, is doing a social media cleanse. As for jealousy, I'm not really a jealous person, because I definitely think I'm one of these people that's like, there's room for everyone in the room. And how can I stand out from this other person? And that's why I'm learning Korean, and that's why I'm doing other things, especially right now. But yeah, jealousy will literally eat you alive. So if you were that person and you compare yourself to other people and everything, it's not going to end up well for you. I do think obviously there's a healthy competition, and that's definitely different than jealousy. That is a big difference for sure. Yeah, but just again, surround yourself with people who make you happy. Like all my friends, even if they are doing the same thing as me or they're doing something different, if they're in sports and they're music and media, I'm not like, oh my God, this person interviewed this person, I'm interviewing this person, and like, is mine going to be better? That's not definitely at all what I think. I'm not even gonna like think that way. It's definitely not healthy, and it's not going to turn you into a good person either. So I'm definitely all about like keeping the good people around you, because you have to check in with each other. You really do. And I feel like that's what this pandemic has taught as well. We always check in with each other. You know, you would say your issues you were dealing with, and I'd be like, girl, I feel you. I understand. This has happened to me so many times. Like, you just got to get through it. And you've got to be each other's hype men, because especially in this industry, there is so much comparison culture. I mean, I haven't gotten jobs because I was like not tall enough, blonde enough, this and that. Like, you know what I mean? It's like there's so many different things that I was told I wasn't pretty, so like I can't have the job, like I don't have the look, and you just got to be like, okay, next, it wasn't for me. Like, you know what I mean? It's different. It's different being on camera or doing that stuff than writing. And I always say that there's like such a big difference. And like people don't realize that's what we go through. I'm like, yeah, I was told I was ugly, but like, okay, moving on, like next job. So like, you know what I mean? You can't compare. You can't. It's gonna literally eat you alive.
Okay. Well, who told you you're ugly? I'm gonna go and fight them. Like, excuse
Please.
me.
Please
Excuse
do.
me. Yeah, like
Excuse me.
She's a Barbie doll. Like,
Yeah, well,
come
I
on.
wasn't Barbie enough apparently, so.
Well, the standards. You know, like, it is funny how sometimes even I think that the Western media is more liberated than Indian media, but right now your point just hit me at my face, and I have questions right now. So I think everywhere media has some strict, stereotypical assumptions that is not letting people grow. So yeah,
Oh
we
yeah.
have to change that. Yeah. So, speaking of comparison, jealousy, we come to self love, which is something that you have been
Mm.
talking in your podcast forever, and we love what you're doing. So, personally, were there any strict practices that you force yourself to do so that you make sure that you understand that you love yourself? If there is something like that, let us know.
Yeah, I again was going through this like self help journey through the pandemic. That's literally how I got through it.
Mm-hmm.
Doing a lot of workshops and listening to a lot of podcasts and reading books, and a lot of that kept me sane, truly. And one of my best friends, Alex, was also doing it with me, and then Natasha, who I do the podcast with, was doing her own stuff. So we were all kind of doing it to find ourselves because we were all very burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely think checking in with yourself, like I said, is the number one thing, because it was such a wild concept to me. I was like, what do you mean checking in with yourself? I don't have time to do that. I didn't have time to do that before. I would literally sleep, eat, go to work, go to an event, go to another event, go home, wake up. It was just history repeating itself. It was just every day was the same thing. So journaling was something that I definitely got into, and gratefulness journaling. So you write down 5 or 10 things a day that you're grateful for. And then whether it could literally be like the sun, your eyeliner wing being good today, like your cup of coffee, your lipstick color, your new, like it could be literally the most minute thing. It's your journal. You're not sharing it with anyone. So you could literally write down like the smell of the flowers made me happy today, or grateful, like anything like that. And I was never a journaler, which is really funny because I obviously went to school for journalism. So we write so much, but I was like, what do you mean? Like, I don't understand. Like,
Even
I don't
still now, I don't
understand.
have a journal.
Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't have one until a year ago, which is wild. But that is definitely something that you have to do. And again, checking in with yourself, that's the number one like self-help practice for me. How are you feeling today? Why are you feeling like this? And I feel like it got me to the point of doing that, and it pushed me to do some other things as well, and really just get the help make sure I was doing what I needed to do to make sure I was okay. And yeah, reading books. I was reading, my favorite book I read during the pandemic so far is The Universe Has Your Back by Gabby Bernstein. That book literally changed my life. I'm going to actually reread it because I feel like it's time. It's been like 6 months now. I'm like, all right, I highlighted everything in it. I like need to get back to it and read it again. But yeah, just there's so many different ways. The thing is too, there's so many different media options. You can listen to a podcast about it. You can read a book. You can journal. You can literally do whatever you want. And for me, self-help too is just doing anything that makes you happy. So like listening to K-pop music videos, watching K-pop music videos, like listening to music, going on a walk, watching this K-drama. I mean, I think too, I didn't even realize that laying in bed and binge watching a show makes you happy, right? I'm not saying to do that and never leave your house and not talk to people, but sometimes you need to shut off your phone, not talk to people, and just lay in bed, light a candle, and watch your favorite movie or watch your favorite show. Like all these concepts were so foreign to me, which is so crazy. And I think it's because even from growing up, you know, I would just wake up, go to school, go to dance, come home, go to sleep. It was just a very regimented schedule, which I loved. It's made me such a hard worker now, but giving all this free time, I feel like I'm like, wow, I'm learning new things about myself. And you have to do it because otherwise you take a deep look and you're like, wait, I actually don't even know who I am. Like, what do you like? I was always, you know, when it's like, what's your favorite color and what's this and what's that? I'd be like, I don't know. Like, I would never know how to answer these questions. And now I'm like, oh my God, my favorite show is this. And my favorite that, like, now I feel like I can actually answer these questions from getting to know myself as myself, which is so crazy.
Wow. Now you told me that, I'm just gonna ask you, what is your favorite childhood cartoon? Don't tell me you didn't watch cartoons.
Oh no, I did. I would like literally pretend I was sick to stay home to watch Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo for sure. Scooby-Doo, Powerpuff Girls were like it. Obviously
Ah,
Powerpuff Girls because I wanted to be the blonde one, of course.
I wanted to be
Yeah, of
Blossom.
course. Go
Yeah,
figure.
yeah. I
Yeah.
love Powerpuff Girls.
What is Bubbles? Is that her?
Yeah,
Yeah, of
the
course. I
blue
love
one.
Bubbles. She was blonde. Yeah.
So, another fun fact: P1 Harmony Kehoe also loves Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, amazing. What's up, peeps?
So yeah, that was really nice. And moving on to another question that I really wanted to ask you. I think I have already spoke to you about this, but speaking of your YouTube, the key point of having a channel is the consistency. And we spoke
Yes.
about feeling burnt out. I have felt that multiple times, even now. So the consistency is something that I really adore from you, and you know that too. So I don't know, it just blows my mind every time I see you come up with something because personally, I would also want the same as well because when I wake up, there should be something waiting for me, an achievement like an article or a podcast episode or something YouTube. So any comment from the reader or the listener, that will make the day the brightest. I know it might not be healthy forever, but still
Yeah.
that kind of pushes you to do it. I know that the energy must come from within, but for now, I just need energy from outside. So the all the
Yeah.
appreciations and all that. But still, the consistency thing is really hard. But we all know that consistency and hard work is the secret for success. So I just wanted to hear from you. How do you keep yourself moving on? Were there times when you really felt frustrated? Like, last time I posted this, I expected this, and this didn't happen. Or how long am I going to keep doing this? Because, of course, that must be a time. And with your story, we can understand that that would have been a period where you felt that, oh my God, this life is monotonous. I can't keep doing this. I just want that opportunity to knock the door. But still, you
Yeah.
remained consistent. So I just wanted you to speak.
Yeah, I mean, consistency is key, right? And at this point, it's like be consistent or don't do it. And for me, I can't see myself being at a desk job or doing something like that. It's not in my blood. I would probably go insane if I did that, um, because I'm not that person, if you can't tell from this interview. So, yeah, I mean, listen, it's very interesting too, because when I was doing the videos with Brooke, we were getting 300,000 views on these videos and 100,000 views on these videos and 70,000 views on these videos, but those were on her channel. So when she moved, I was building my channel from scratch. And I mean, obviously, luckily, she was nice enough to do some videos with me before she left and she shared them. So I definitely, like, my first video I posted got 20,000 views. My next one got 10,000 views. That is not what is consistently happening, right? But the hardest thing is, I think, getting the subscribers. And that has always been it for years. Like, I know, being in media for 6 years, that the subscribers are the hardest, and everyone always looks at the subscribers and the engagements and all that analytical stuff, which is just so exciting. But yeah, it's really interesting, because obviously I went from seeing that, and my podcast is definitely like a slow and steady rise to the top. So it was very kind of weird doing both of those things at the same time at first, and then now starting my own channel, which is like thankfully growing. And but I knew that I had to post like 3 or 4 times a week. That was my only option to get growth, and it was it, like, you know what I mean? And I think that's almost, it's not the problem with my podcast, but podcasting is different. You don't post multiple episodes a week, so we really just focus on social media, on Instagram, and posting every single day with that. So it's a little bit different in that aspect of things. But as for YouTube, I don't have like a YouTube or like an Instagram for my YouTube channel. It's obviously my personal one, and it's like, this is who I am. Hi, talk to me about K-pop if you want. But YouTube is YouTube for me. Like, I don't have any other platform. I don't have a blog. I don't have a website for that. So I have to post multiple times a day. I have to do these things. I have to be engaging with fans. Like, I'm lucky I've had some really great, tweets and K-pop things go pretty viral or far on Twitter. So I listen to what people say. If, I have a lot of Kong Daniel fans who subscribe to my channel. So I've interviewed Kong Daniel's producer and found out a lot of really cool stuff from him. And I found out that Mark Chwan from GOT7 was working with him. So then I got GOT7 fans, and you just kind of got to see what happens. And I even know, like, I look at other people's channels, and some people get hundreds of thousands of views on BTS videos, but I don't, because I don't have those BTS fans. Those aren't the subscribers for my channel. They're just not. And that's okay. Like, they find my videos organically, and I've done, some, like, I reacted to Butter, but I have a lot of XOLs on my channel because I myself am a very large one. So my XO videos do decently well. So it just kind of depends. And I think that is where the comparison culture thing really was playing with me at first, because I was like, everyone who does these videos are getting so many views and I'm not. But I was like, okay, well, that's not who's subscribing to my channel, which is cool. Like, that's fine. If I have these fans, like, I know that they really like my content. And it's all about just putting out content that people like, that you're having fun doing, because people know when you're faking it, unless you're like a great actor and deserve an Oscar. Like, and even then you can tell if someone's like not feeling it that day. And listen, I've had a lot of days where I did not want to film. I did not want to do something. I was not feeling it, but I still did it. And then as the second that I started, I was having so much fun, and it made my day so much better. So, I mean, you just gotta kind of figure out who your audience is, which is always normally the hardest part. But luckily I've kind of figured out who my subscribers are and gaining new subscribers. And the thing with me too is I'm a multi-stan. I'm not just like, this is the one group I like, and I'm only going to do these two groups in these videos. And that's also something I've never been afraid to do. I've never been afraid to take risks and interview the producer. Even if it gets 200 views, at least I got to interview the producer, and those 200 people who watched it loved it and were really grateful that, I did that. And I mean, luckily I've had some really good snippets for, like, I don't know, find out some really cool things from the producers behind the song, and that have gone kind of viral. So I think that's definitely something that maybe is my thing that no one else is doing, which is cool. So if that's my thing, then like, I'm down,
Okay, so I really, like, the one point that I really got is that the first step, like the first step is really hard, but when you take the first step and you actually understand that this is what you love doing or you have to do it, I think you'll get to take the next step easier. So that was
Yeah.
really amazing. Yeah, so thank you. And for our viewers, if there are people who are aspiring to be a journalist or an on air media personality, just like you, being amazing, what would be your advice?
I mean, you really don't have to go to journalism school. You don't, but I highly recommend it because you learn, ethical things and proper things. And I mean, because look, I've seen so many radio personalities, they didn't even go to college and they're killing it. But for me, if I was like gonna go to school, I was gonna go to school for journalism. And if you're going to school, that's gonna give you more opportunity to like get the internship, because a lot of times,
Mm-hmm.
99% of the time, you're not getting paid for an internship, so you have to get school credit. So I think if you choose not to go to school, that's really cool, but you might have a harder time finding like an internship or something like that unless you know someone, but that's just from experience I've had. You've got to be hard. You've got to be diligent, because again, like, it's not just going to fall into your lap. You're the one who has to make the connections. I feel like what people don't know too is, it's like, again, you mentioned this earlier with the YouTube channel and the podcast, but I'm doing the social media. I'm the producer, I'm the editor, I'm the marketer, I'm the social media manager, the account manager, the booker. Like, I'm doing a million different I'm doing every single job. Like, this is not like when I was at the radio station and there was someone doing sales, marketing. I was really just the face. I got to be on air, I was doing the interviews, and handling artist liaison. Like, I'm doing everything, every single thing possible, taking the meetings in South Korea, so I'm doing these interviews at 3:30 in the morning. Like, people don't realize that. So it's definitely something that you are going to have to take into consideration if you want to go into journalism or media. And just, I would really say, do everything in your power to get extra experience, especially right now, because things still aren't open. People are just doing virtual internships. And I learned so much on the job in the radio station, like on set. So take extra classes, do an extra certificate. Like, even during the pandemic, I did a music industry's essential certificate through NYU, because I was like, I need to touch up on some stuff. I'm not working right now. I'm not in the station. Like, I need to know how some behind the scenes marketing is done, or how some certain other stuff is done, because I don't want to just be like, oh, I don't know because I'm on air. Like, that is the one thing you will never hear me say. And I feel like that's very important. You cannot be ignorant. You cannot be ignorant. You cannot make excuses. Like, you got to know it, because if you don't, someone else will.
Exactly. That is a very beautiful point, because I myself have experienced it, and I'm sure you did too. So,
Oh, yeah.
wow.
You're like, mic drop. That was it.
Yes. If it isn't you, anybody else. Yeah.
Mic drop.
It's. Well, yeah. Keeping the journalism aside, as a person, especially viewers from India, we are still having a hard time being in the lockdown, and things are really still in chaos around the world. So, as a person, are there any words that you would like to share to our viewers?
Yeah, I think be patient. It's just really all you can do right now. And I am the least patient person on the planet. I'm always like, why isn't this happening? Why isn't this happening? Why isn't it happening faster? You just kind of have to take a deep breath and really be patient and stay hopeful, because eventually we will get out of this. And it's just a learning experience. And I think it's something that I'm learning myself right now, as the United States is kind of opening up a bit more and more people are getting vaccinated. It's going to be a slow and steady race. And I think that's also something that you have to take in consideration, is there's so much going on outside of your little bubble that you're living in or where you are. And people are still dealing with this. It is still a very horrible situation. So you have to take a step back and be like, compassionate, because I've run into that myself, and I'm like, you really don't know what's going on right now, do you? And you're just in your little bubble. So I would honestly encourage people to read up on what's going on outside of your country as well, because there's a lot of stuff that's happening with COVID in, like you said, in India and other parts of the world, and you guys are getting the brunt of it right now. And yeah, just be compassionate and be patient, because yes, we've all been locked up for a year, but it's still going to take time, and everything is really out of our hands. So everyone stay safe, be compassionate, and just care about someone else. Just check in on other people.
Yeah, that's really beautifully said. And I think it is also something that I tell to myself, like when you love others,
Mm-hmm.
then you can love yourself. So that's
Yep.
one of the major things that you get to learn. So yeah, thank you so much for joining, Racquel. I had the best conversation. It's been a very long time, and I was really nervous. I know, like I don't have to be nervous around you, but again, getting back with camera on and it's filming me, I'm still blah 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 blah. Okay, yeah. So thank you so much. I really enjoyed all your answers, and I'm happy that I had this chance to talk a deeper version of yourself and interact a lot more. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy we got to do this. It was really nice. It was great.
So, finally, would you like to give your social media accounts to our viewers?
Yes, so you can find me on everything at Racquel Goldy, and then that's literally everything: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, everything, LinkedIn. And then my podcast is Millennial Girls Podcast. Instagram is millennial_girls. And you can find everything from there in our link tree. So yeah. And I mean, I always say, if you have a question about being in media or on air, feel free to message me. I'll answer. I read my DMs. So yeah, it's a fun time. Let's connect.
Yeah, thank you. So, as for me, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Anthea Isaac. And for FB, it's Anthea Dorothy Isaac. So, I also have my website where I post some blog posts and video content as well. So, please make sure to follow us and do make sure to show a lot of love in the comments for Racquel for giving us all these beautiful answers, and I really enjoyed the process, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching us as well. So thank you for sticking in so long. If you made it till here, thank you so much. And let me make sure to come up with another guest for another amazing show. Until then, spread love and be loved. This is Anthea Isaac from Let's Talk with Anthea Isaac. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.